I'm wiping pixels as you're watching.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Josh is now providing you with an OLED cleansing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to PC Perspective. This is our podcast. That was weird. It's episode 775. This is May 29, 2024. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Stronberg.
And if you like old man humor, you've come to the right place.
Yes.
I'm Kent Burgess.
Perfect.
Called it.
Yeah, by the way, you can support us and keep this show going by going to patreon.com/PCPer. That's PCPer as my monitor shuts off unexpectedly. But we're going to keep going and thank T. Goodwell and H. Wally.
Mr. H. Wally. Not going to make fun of your name, because I don't do that anymore. Maybe when I was 36, I would have, but not today. Not today at 52. Speaking of 36, that was the first year I did a podcast on this, when I was not nearly such an old man. But today, I'm approaching that. How did I become almost 52? Mr. Wally, could you explain that to me in simple terms? But regardless, we thank you for your Patreon.
It's time for the most important segment of the week. No, not Josh's office update, but I'm sure that there'd be a lot of questions about what the heck is going on back there.
I know,
really.
I know. It needs to get finished up in the next couple of weeks, but yeah, we need to finish painting the walls. We got to finish the floor. So the floors are pretty much all done. We just got to do the whatchamacallit, the wood on the side, the
Baseboard.
why can't I think of it? Toe kick, baseboards.
Baseboard.
We have closet doors coming in. Got to finish drywall in the interior of the closet. Got to mud, guys. We got one metal corner and a couple of interior corners. Got some mudding tape for. Yeah. So I've got my work set up for me next couple of weeks to get that done. And if I didn't have a day job, it would get done a whole lot sooner. But sadly, so yeah, keep those Patreon dollars coming in. Eventually,
I bet you work up quite an appetite working on that office, huh? Segue.
I do. And so,
Segue.
it's Wednesday, and that means it's burger time. Not the game, but the actual time where you get burgers. But anyway, it was there was no special today, so I had to make my own. And sometimes you just need to have a double cheeseburger, and so I had a double cheeseburger. But I did a few changes, so I put cheddar on there. Sometimes you just got to have cheddar and not American. I just wanted lettuce and onions, so they weren't fried onions or sautéed, but just the regular raw. Kind of wanted that bite, and then jalapenos. And, Sebastian made fun of me saying that I got salad dressing on it, but it's not. It's actually their version of Chipotle ketchup. And so, yeah, that was the burger today, and it was fantastic. Nice, crunchy lettuce. Didn't want tomato because I thought that'd be overwhelming, a little too juicy, but the jalapenos were a nice addition with the Chipotle ketchup. And it was a good burger. Filled me up. The fries were a little underdone. Kind of disappointed there, but what can you do? Can't be perfect every day. Otherwise, it gets boring, right?
True.
Yes. Life. Make changes.
Mm-hmm.
Little rain must fall.
Do something unexpected every day.
Yeah. Like eat a
Plus,
burger.
it throws off your pursuers. So, yeah, kind of mix that in.
In our next segment, Josh is going to talk about ARM, which now uses all lowercase in their corporate logo, if that matters.
Are you sure that's lowercase?
It looks like lowercase to me.
Look at ARM Client Tech Days.
It's capitalized, yeah, but there's no longer all caps.
Inconsistent capitalization.
For those of you who don't know, ARM is an acronym for Acorn Risk Machine. Yes, Acorn Risk Machine. And now they just call themselves ARM as if it's a body part or something. But that's okay. It's their purview. They can
It's like everyone needs at least 2 of them.
Well, Josh, do you want to talk about the ARM Client Tech Days?
Okay, I sure can. They invited us down to Austin a couple of weeks back, fed us some really nice barbecue, took us on a boat ride. Nobody drowned. Had a nice, kind of artisanal Tex-Mex place that was tasty, and they had whiskey. So these were all positive things. And
do you think that those things could have impacted your ability to be objective about this topic?
Attempt to influence? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I feel like they do that kind of stuff with media and influencers like you, Josh, because they want to get on your good side.
Yeah, I'm an influencer.
You are.
Here's the thing about ARM. How much influence do they need when they're shipping 8 billion chips a year? I mean, not ARM themselves, but ARM technology. That's one chip per person in this entire world is getting some kind. Of course, obviously, not all of these are CPUs. These are, IoT stuff, very small cores. It's not all just cell phone things. And they continue to ship, and their margins are very good. Well, I mean, they don't have a product, but, they list their margin rate at like 59%. So if you think of, every dollar in royalty they get, over half of that is profit. But they got to pay for the people. They got to pay for, updating their technology, software, whatever. I mean, they're doing very well, even without some journalist from Wyoming that they invite down now and then. All I do is I can try to make their stuff interesting to listen to. But yeah, they've improved pretty much their entire lineup. As I said in my tweet earlier today, think evolution, not revolution. The stuff that we see today from a very high level looks nearly identical to what they released last year. So we have new code names. We do have a lot of tweaks internally, but nothing that is massive. Like, they have the same amount of, add units and mixed multiplication and, gosh, all these things that I can't even talk about. Load store, all of those things in the CPU from last year to this year are really the same. They've improved things like, more TLB, larger TLB buffer, translation look-aside buffer. Their secret sauce, which is their prefetch, is a little bit better. They've helped improve decode. So you can get those execution units filled a little bit faster. And the biggest thing is that they've developed this design for 3 nanometer. So this is, Apple's currently shipping at 3 nanometer, and pretty much they're doing the same. So the big new Cortex is the X925. They went away from the Cortex X2, X3, X4. They didn't go to X5. No, they went straight to Cortex X925, which, if you can kind of take a look at that under the CPU cluster that we're seeing, we have the whole lineup. Cortex X925, which is going to be paired with the Cortex A725, which is their mid-range part, which will do a lot of, kind of the heavy lifting of everyday things. And then you've got the smaller part, which is the Cortex A520. And all of these are put together with the DSU 120, which is supposedly slightly changed from last year, a little bit better latency, more throughput, but still allows up to 14 cores per CPU cluster. The 925 and the 725 are considered new in that they're refreshed. The 520 is not new, but it is somewhat optimized, and especially for the new 3 nanometer processes that we will see from TSMC and potentially others. The biggest amount of performance uplift really is going to be the clock speed. The previous generation stuff, we're all running around 3 gigahertz. This stuff is going to be at about 3.6 at the top. They've improved overall efficiency, so they allow them to get to those speeds without breaking the bank when it comes to TDP and power consumption. In fact, they're, even at that highest performance, they're a little bit more efficient than last year. So when they're talking IPC leadership, they're not kidding with the 925. It really is around Core i5 type single thread performance, at least what they say. And again, these parts are only running up to around, if in a handheld, they've got a maximum power draw of maybe 5 watts, and that's pretty toasty for a handheld. Something in terms of like a laptop, that's nothing. We would expect to see these going up to 15 to 25 watts. Again, performance is good across the board versus last year's stuff. They've also improved, AI performance, which of course they always love to talk about, especially these days.
You mentioned it finally.
Yeah. And, and I asked them because they had their previous NPU, and I don't know why the name is just escaping me now, but it was a custom designed piece that, they tried to put into cell phones. Nobody really picked it up except the IoT people and some of the vision guys actually utilized that part, and they refreshed it earlier this year. I think it's the U8500. Why can't I never remember these things? Oh yeah, it's because I'm over 45 years old. Can't remember damn thing.
And there's
anymore.
1,000 names.
Yeah, and there's so many stinking things. So they kind of walked away from that for because Qualcomm has their own NPU, Samsung's coming out with one. You can bet that NVIDIA is going to have something, some kind of special deal going with there, or maybe they're all going to just put it into the GPU portion of this supposed upcoming ARM product. But yeah, they've really optimized their CPUs and GPUs to run these AI workloads as best as they can, given the constraints. And so that means floating point 16 and 8 support. We'll see what they do a little bit later on, but those are the CPUs. They're going to be faster. They're going to be better, but it's not going to be mind-boggling. And again, a lot of those performance numbers simply come about because they're going to be clocked significantly higher. So they're tuned for 3 nanometer from TSMC. And that's going to be that. On the GPU side, if you want to pull up those slides, they've got this is very much the same as the CPU. From a high level, there's very little difference in between the new Immortalis G720 and the previous generation one. Same thing for the mid-range part. They're going to be, slightly faster. They can have, more sustained performance than the previous generation. So that, impacts your overall performance as well as your battery life. So that's a bigger deal. Again, these are, higher clock speeds, and they're comparing a 14-core G925 Immortalis to the Immortalis G720, which was last year's, which was only 12-core. So kind of take those numbers with a grain of salt, because you're getting more cores, you are getting some optimizations there, you're getting a higher clock speed. All of the performance is improved, sometimes pretty dramatically. You'll get better performance and same kind of battery power, but nothing revolutionary. Ray tracing is improved, and of course AI, machine learning, much better across the board with the new G925 14-core versus the G720 12-core. There really is about one big deal with this, and that's an actual new unit in their graphics. And scroll down a little bit further, we'll talk about that. Scrolling scrolling.
Please stand by.
Yeah.
You know, having slide numbers would have helped, and not having Josh go
It
from
would
slide
have.
1 to
Okay,
14
so the number is
unannounced.
14. 14 is good.
Is it 14? In the
Go to
last one,
14.
you started going on to 14 when I was still on slide 2, and I'm like, what? What is he talking about? What?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So they are doing, well, you can do the next one up, 13. They're doing a different kind of hidden surface removal called fragment pre-pass. Now, if you remember, all their graphics are tilers. So a lot of hidden surface stuff is taken care of right at the outset. So they're not drawing hidden triangles. The rasterization, the rasters out there, they have, like Z-tests and whatnot to try to get rid of that. Tilers, they do that just kind of natively, the way it works and the way it draws to the tiler buffer. That it just never renders those hidden triangles. And so they're doing this with the same thing with a fragment shader prepass. So you get all the previous stuff, early Z-test, hierarchical Z, forward pixel kill, primitive reordering. But now it improves upon this by culling out a lot of the occluded fragments and overall improving performance and efficiency. So you can see the operation there. Does the regular Z-test, identified surviving fragments. All of the fragments that are on the tile are known, and now, draw the geometry again for visible fragments. Shade those visible fragments. So instead of wasting any kind of performance in the fragment shader operations, they're just making it more efficient. So it runs faster, and that's good. They're also improving ray tracing performance. They're kind of allowing a slider, so developers can trade off accuracy for performance. So it's just, this is kind of software rather than hardware, and you get better overall performance, less memory traffic, and you still get good looking ray tracing stuff. And I think that's it's the last bit about it is you can pack more cores in there, so up to 24 cores at the highest level, and you won't see that in a handheld, but you might very well see that in a laptop in the future. Now, we don't know when, because apparently, though nothing really official has ever been said, Microsoft and Qualcomm have an agreement that only Qualcomm stuff is going to run Windows on ARM. And then that agreement apparently gets swept out the door this year sometime. We don't know when. But yeah, it's a couple of other things. Their tiler throughput has improved because you can fuse multiple edges, so it's just easier to throw data out there. Well, it's a dumb way of saying it. Improves geometry heavy stuff. So the more geometry in a scene, it actually cuts down the amount of points needed to be, referenced for that geometry. So you got two triangles, and they fuse one edge of those two triangles, and instead of you cut the operations by two kind of operations because they're sharing two of those points. So that's just a very basic way of doing it. But yeah, there's a lot of little things that they've done that has improved it. But again, from a high level standpoint, it's not as big of a jump as it did previously. And again, a lot of that performance comes from you can now put more 3D cores into effect at a higher clock speed. And the final thing that we're going to talk about is ARM CSS for client. And this is kind of a bigger one because what's really new? Well, obviously it supports the latest and greatest stuff. Previously, we called it, what was the name of the stinking the TCS23 reference platform. They've changed that now. It's CSS for client. Basically, these are kind of prepackaged configurations that the partners can utilize to, roll out their stuff even faster. And they're now taking it up another notch. They haven't changed a whole lot. The DSU 120 is essentially the same. That's the clustering underlying kind of fabric that keeps it all together. Then you got the Immortalis as the high end. Again, you can use 14 cores. And previously, like the TCS 23, I think it had one big core on there, 5 medium cores, and then 2 or 4 of the small cores at kind of the high end operation. And they're not as keen on doing that. They want to have dual big cores, quad of the mid range cores, and then dual of the efficiency cores. Kind of the big steal here is that they will have kind of physical ready designs for their partners to go out and fabricate on the supported 3 nanometer process. So usually they, kind of send out these design rules and RTLs, and then their partners go out and they do place and route, and they send out the test chips, get them back, and do a lot of, work on them to get them up and running. And this takes time. And so it used to be way back in the day, 2014, 2013, when they started holding these kind of tech days for editors. It was, 2-3 years down the line before we'd actually see these parts. And now we're getting to the point where it's going to be 6 to 8 months before we see some of the first things going out. And they're working very closely with their partners. They've got these physical ready designs coming out. And they'll be able to get them, these basic things, so they'll be able to get them up and running very, very quickly. And we'll see that far sooner than we expect. So overall, a more well-rounded platform. It's going to be faster. You are going to have more cache on there, better prefetch, all of these things running on 3 nanometer and optimized for Android 13, even though I guess Android 14 is coming out pretty soon.
Ish.
Yeah, but it's a lot faster than, last year's. Lower power and matches the TCS23 performance. If you get about the same power, the performance, again, 30 to 40% faster. And they go into a couple other things like the Kaleido. So NVIDIA's got CUDA, right? Well, ARM is trying to get their software together to do better for software development and AI development. And so they're introducing a couple of flavors of this Kaleido, Kleidi software framework that they're trying to get running to compete, maybe not compete with CUDA, but certainly be there for people who want to develop stuff that will utilize AI and their AI functionality inside their cores. So that's another big thing for them. Software makes the world go round. I asked them, how many hardware engineers do you have versus how many software? And right now, the software engineers outnumber the hardware people. It's probably a 55% to 45% mix and match for people doing actual engineering. So, that's kind of the long and short of it for ARM. They just keep moving along. They keep getting better performance, and it's good stuff. And I guess Android 14 is out now, right?
Yeah, it's
7 months ago. Came out in October.
Android 13. Yeah. I don't know.
As the baseline, because I think that's a lot of devices out there, including my Moto Razr still only run Android 13, but 14 came out in October, I think.
So they've been slowly rolling it out to more and more devices. Although I'm sure
and also ARM
for that one.
ARM v9 is a pretty big jump, and so I think that is the baseline now for a lot of these things is 9.1, 9.2, and that's the full 64-bit. You can't run 32-bit apps on it. And if you do, there's a translation layer in there that sucks performance. But yeah, it sounds like that's kind of that's the baseline that you're going to have to go to is Android 13.
I'm surprised you didn't dwell more on the transformative nature of the AI features and capabilities of these new products.
Yeah.
They didn't win the company that mentioned AI the most, but they came close.
Yeah.
Josh scaled it back. He toned it down nicely. And we thank him. By the way, Josh mentioned earlier that there's this maybe sort of exclusivity thing going on between Microsoft and Qualcomm. But according to the Register, in this related story, NVIDIA is said to be prepping AI PC chip with ARM and Blackwell cores. So there could actually be some competition here if NVIDIA starts making an SoC.
Yeah, they're Copilot Plus PCs.
Yeah. Imagine Windows on ARM with this setup. I mean, it starts to sound, that could actually be compelling.
Yeah, there have been some rumors about this a little before, the Register, because one, NVIDIA tried to buy ARM. Two, they've been a partner with ARM for ages, and their Grace stuff already is working. I mean, they have these massive CPUs attached to GPUs. And these are all their parts, and they've been working with them, but consumers haven't obviously seen it. And with Qualcomm standing in the way of getting in between NVIDIA and Windows, there really wasn't much of a market that they wanted to address. And so now that this is opening up, it makes sense that NVIDIA would apply their knowledge of building a pretty good ARM part with their pretty overwhelmingly superior graphics functionality, and making a huge dent potentially in the mobile market. Because if they're running at Intel XE1 or XE2 speeds with a wattage part that is 10 to 15 watts, they're going to get some action, especially in terms of, gaming on these mobile laptops is not great. I mean, it's what I think somebody ran BG3 at very low settings, and they were getting about 30 frames per second on some of these ARM Qualcomm machines. You can definitely expect it to be a lot better on the NVIDIA side. And again, this is like all day battery. When I say all day, it's 24 to 30 hours of charge. I mean, just the power gating and the architecture is just really efficient. It's been aimed at, these sub 35 watts forever, while Intel has got these parts that are aimed from 10 watts up to 100 and some plus. So that's a lot of things that you can do in there to make things more efficient. A lot of the things you can do just in fabrication to increase that efficiency. So, I'm not saying that if you were to compare one x86 core to an ARM core, the differences in power consumption is going to be fairly minimal. But so much of the ARM ecosystem is based around really super high efficiency. Once you start getting kind of an SoC sized chip, then I think that we see some improvements there over x86 in the current designs.
And it saves more power for the Blackwell chip they're talking about pairing it with, because Blackwell likes to eat power.
Introvert Alert, thank you for the super chat. Any thoughts from anyone at PCPer on Monitors Unboxed 3-month OLED burn-in update video? I've never heard of them.
I've watched it.
It's hardware unboxed, but with monitors.
Okay.
It's the sister channel. Yes.
Do you get it now? Do you get it?
I just thought
Yeah.
I know that Ratings has been doing one. There's been this ongoing thing off and on for a couple of years now, but
Yeah.
image retention and persistent, whatever the term is, because I think the industry doesn't like the terms burn in. But yeah, you can make that happen, especially when Windows is fighting you on doing simple things like auto hiding the taskbar.
I'm sorry you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's too bad, Microsoft, because it's my hardware.
No, you're going to.
Oh, that's okay. Now TVs will do the same damn thing. If someone
Well, I
leaves
mean,
that
really, it's
menu
my
at the
credit card
bottom-
company's hardware, but I'm paying them back for it slowly. So someday it will be mine.
What did you think of the video since you watched it?
I didn't watch it. Who watched it?
No, Kent.
I did. It was interesting. So one of the things he's done is he has essentially turned off everything for burn-in protection on the monitor. He's not auto hiding taskbars. He's using it for day-to-day productivity. After the first month, he had started to see almost like a divider right down the middle of the screen. He's using the 32-inch 4K QD OLED panel. He's using the MSI version of it. But he was also doing a lot of half screen work, snap to, one application to half and another application to the other half to do his work. He's, using the monitor for 8 hours plus at a time. And so he's putting it through, a lot of hard use, but it is use that is normal. So he's treating it like a normal monitor. After 3 months, that half screen has become a little bit more pronounced, but he can only see it when running burn-in detection task where he's using a solid gray screen at different intensities of gray, and he can only just barely see it. The lesson to take away from it, I think, is, don't turn off all your protections from image retention. But yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see what happens 6 months down the road.
Well, Kent, if you buy a regular car, like a standard car, and it doesn't require a whole lot of special care, you're just going to drive it, you occasionally change the oil, and if it's reliable, it'll just work. But if you want a high-performance machine, you sometimes have to give it a little bit of extra care. And maybe it's more expensive to maintain. I'm just saying, like, OLED for a monitor is the same as getting like a McLaren to drive your kids to school. Like if you're buying an OLED and you're just like, I'm just going to use it like a regular monitor. This is the most premium display technology on earth.
I mean, if you buy a Cybertruck, you have to sacrifice a finger to the trunk lid on it. So
if you buy a Cybertruck, you're sacrificing.
Well, you don't
a
want that
lot.
to happen because the side panel will fall off and you'll realize there's nothing underneath it but plastic bits.
Yeah, well.
Just get yourself, if you want a truck, get a real truck. But what I'm saying is, if you buy something ultra premium, you've got to actually take care of it. And you've got to think about what you're doing with it. You can't just...
I don't know that there are many people buying OLED monitors at the price they are with the goal of, I'm just going to use it like a regular monitor. I think that somebody spending that kind of money on an OLED has to sort of know what they're getting.
But
I could be
it will
wrong
get
on that.
cheaper.
No.
Once this becomes mainstream, then I think these problems will present themselves. Like somebody says, hey, I got this new OLED monitor. It was like $100 more, but it looks really good in the store. And I get it home and I've got this image retention now. What the hell? So all you need is pixel shift. You just sacrifice, make the panels provision the panels. Like, storage sometimes is over provisioned. You get extra bits on there that you don't think you have access to, but they're there. And so an over-provisioned SSD gives you longer life and better performance over time. Over-provision the screen. Give a full 4,096 pixels, but you're only using 3,840 of them? Why is this? Why are you laughing about this? This is brilliant. This is genius.
It is. It's brilliant.
Pixels
You think
and-
Apple.
Move it around a little bit.
You need a cache of special pixels that are slightly faster than the rest of them that can be,
what?
reallocated for those fastness on the screen.
Okay, Clark Kent in the chat. Yes, I know that most TVs do have pixel shifting already, but unfortunately, those are native. Those are native UHD panels, and you're sacrificing a little bit of the resolution, which annoys the crap out of anybody, including me, when you're trying to use my TV as a monitor, and part of the text on the side is gone, and there's several, columns of pixels that just aren't there. You have to move your window away from the pixel shift part. It does fix the issue because the issue is retention. If you're constantly moving the image around every couple minutes or whatever, it doesn't have the same retention effect that it would if it was just sitting there static for long periods of time. So, and this would have to also be vertical. So like it goes up 4 pixels and down 4 pixels every so often. It would probably be noticeable if it was too often, but you're going to have to do something like that because the technology, at least the way they're implementing it now, there is image retention. And I've had pixel shift on my TV that I bought in 2016. It's a B6 LG OLED. There's no image retention. This one does suffer from the vignetting issue, but no image retention, but it's been pixel shift only since I bought it. And my wife and son have used that TV an astonishing amount of hours. I don't even want to know how many hours that thing has been on, but I blame them because I don't really watch very much TV.
CR Poll does the TLDR on this. 8K panels, 4K at a time.
There you go. Yeah, that's not. It wouldn't be annoying at all. 8K panel, 6K monitor resolution for your PC. Yes,
it's interlaced, reborn.
Yes, actually,
Yes, there we go. Oh God!
Bring back interlacing.
Reborn.
Yes, or just bring back CRTs. Yeah, Time Twin. Just CRT, DGOS it once in a while. You're fine.
Yeah, every once in a while. Yep.
We need to invent for monitors. Sort of.
I mean,
that retention.
even before watching the
phosphors, they don't ever fade very much, or they do some, but yeah.
Yeah, even before watching the Monitors Unbox video, as the owner of one of these newer OLEDs, I've been almost paranoid about my treatment of it since getting it. I auto hid everything. I installed the Fences software where I can hide all my desktop shortcuts with just a double click and pull them up with a double click. If I'm opening like an Excel spreadsheet and my bank account to manage to do our budget, it's like 5 minutes and then I close them down.
Too much white.
Or
Too much
I make them smaller and I move them around the screen some as I'm using them.
That just proves
got a
defeating the
Yes.
purpose.
that's
defeating
totally
the
normal
Not that
behavior.
it's not that bad. It really
No.
isn't. You don't have to do that at that, but appreciate it. Just make sure that you don't leave your screen on for 30 minutes with everything in place. And
You break out in a cold
Yeah,
sweat in the middle of the night.
screen
You're
right
like,
now.
is my desktop still on? I have it on power
Pause
mode.
my game.
I actually
Did I
have
pause
it set to turn the monitor off after 5 minutes of
Okay,
inactivity.
don't
So-
worry about it.
So you're saying there's
fine.
a small chance that I would have the ghost of Josh right in the middle of my monitor if I upgrade.
He's very white, and that's not good
I
for
thought everybody
OLEDs.
had that.
Josh is not OLED friendly. Look at that sheen.
You should move around.
look at
Yeah.
my.
Oh, he's fine.
I'm wiping pixels as you're
Yeah.
watching.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Josh is now providing you with an OLED cleansing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what you
You
can.
need-
You can
Now
get that
available
from
on the PC per shop for
Yeah.
a cheap price of.
I was going to say, now available as the PC per screensaver is this is the Josh.
Yeah,
Pixel
the
Light.
Josh
Flying
wipe.
toasters? No more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't
Flying
be
toasters.
off put by the name, Josh Wipe. The Josh Wipe, like a GIF file. No, that's not what you think it is. It's his face.
Or it
He's
could
wiping
be
his
for
face.
a few dollars
Patreon
more.
only. Sorry.
Microsoft automatic super resolution is now available, but it's currently limited to Copilot PCs with the Qualcomm Snapdragon X and its NPU. I guess that's an exclusivity
They
thing.
haven't really released yet.
Some reg edits as well for a passive auto SR. Yeah, it just seems very keyholed here at the moment.
This doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't seem like they're really jumping.
No HDR. HDR is totally out.
But if you follow these instructions, some games can be manually, I guess, previewed or tested with this auto SR. So that's all I had to say. That was it.
Yeah.
Are they mentioning that it's exclusive to Qualcomm in here in their official blog post about it? They're talking about working with AMD, Intel, NVIDIA's DLSS.
I think that's where they're going. But if you want to do any of this like right now, I think that's that first article that you had up there. That you could try some of it. Yeah.
So May 29th, that would be today. Joshua Tucker at Microsoft, DirectX developer blog. DirectSR preview available now. And GPU vendor support, they have quotes from AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA. And they're just so excited about
their own products. NVIDIA is talking about DLSS. Intel's talking about XS. They're not talking about DirectSR.
Oh, I see. So it's just a showcase of this kind of technology.
Yes. It's a little bit different, similar kind of tuning going on, but different ways of turning it on and how it's implemented.
As long as you're running a Snapdragon.
Because really that's where you should be, because the future is ARM, and Microsoft really wants you on Windows, on ARM, on one of these Qualcomm boxes. Don't they actually have like a $99 like developer-friendly mini PC box that you can buy?
That was $199. Yeah, I think it's at least $199.
It's a little bit more expensive, but still reasonable. The little box that you can work on, yeah.
So it's the Leva. I saw somebody tweet about this or something. Leva mini box QC710. You can buy these things for $100, and they are Qualcomm Snapdragon based. This is older though, so it looks like these are just kind of coming to prominence again because of obvious reasons. But ECS had a Qualcomm powered Leva. I have seen it in a couple different places linked for $99, but I don't know. I'm assuming it supports Windows 11 on ARM. The Snapdragon 7C.
No, I think that's the older Linux-based ARM that you run on those things.
Windows 10 Home 64-bit OS comes on these.
I guess I'm wrong. Sorry.
I know what I'm talking about sometimes when other people tweet about it, and then I just read it. In our next news story, it's almost security now-esque, but not quite, I guess. This targeted ad brought to you by PayPal. Apparently they're not your pal.
No, they're not. You might have thought so. And before anyone asks, this will include Venmo and Honey, because PayPal owns them too. They hired a guy from a company called... I forget where Mark Gurther came from. It was not a good place. But he's their new head of their PayPal ads group. And the PayPal ads group exists to help any advertisers be able to target their advertising at you based on your entire PayPal purchase history. Because apparently any transaction purchases that you made, you did at one point agree to let PayPal just sort of sell that information to people. So, I mean, hey, on the plus side, they'll be selling you the stuff that you already bought 2 years ago and don't need anymore. But on the nasty side, and I didn't realize this, PayPal processed around 25 billion transactions last year. That is a lot of data. I mean, I'm assuming that wasn't just 3 people and the rest of us filled out the rest of it. This is just a huge amount of people using PayPal and thinking about it as a safe and secure way to transfer money. And, well, guess what? Just like any other safe and secure way to transfer money, they're selling everything they can about you that they're going to. They will, of course, pair this with AI. So the advanced offers platform, which they offer a subscription to, go over somewhere near $500 billion worth of money transactions, and peg, exactly what you're likely to be wanting to look for in the future, at least as far as the AI is concerned. So yeah, that's your PayPal. It ain't your buddy.
So the AI is going to go through your transactions and then peg you. Is that what you're saying?
A blast from the past, but no more. I mean, did you even know that ICQ was still around? And now that you do,
this week.
It's gone.
It's gone.
So sorry. I like how we have one ICQ story on the site. It was very important that we use that keyword.
Damn right it was.
No.
Let me see. I'm going to go to ICQ stories on PCPer.com. Oh,
there is.
It's just this one.
Okay, now that you've drawn attention to that, the previous story actually had a very high number of them tagged as dirty pool, and I'm going to go look.
Oh, dirty pool
there
as a keyword?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the previous story had like 28 stories tagged just dirty pool. And I'm like,
there are, and every single one of them is, because, hey, you selling everything, PayPal, that's dirty pool.
People in the chat are comparing notes on how long their ICQ number was.
I don't remember.
5 versus 6
was like
digits.
7 or 8.
Yeah, I had a longer one, but I didn't use it very much. It was the late 1990s.
Yeah.
What?
No, I had a pretty
Come
short
one,
one.
kids.
Slashed off, but I totally lost it.
Not everything has to be... It doesn't have to be like this.
I had a 3-digit slash.id too, but it died when the server died and had to remake one that was significantly higher. Damn you, Commander Taco.
All right,
So, yeah, speaking of old age, yeah. AIM chat's gone too. Sorry.
yeah, this is the old man part of the show, by the way, the old man chat.
Yeah, we lament
is,
the death of ICQ and AIM.
Yeah. But the best thing is nothing's changed.
We start talking about
which chat
vampire
platform are you on now?
Right, probably Discord.
Are you on Zoom? Or are you on Teams? Are you on Skype? Are you on Facebook chat? Or it hasn't changed. There was 1,000 different ones you had to keep track of back then, and there are now, and they will all die.
Next news story. Quickly stop Google Chrome's blue AI box ruining your search.
Have you not encountered this yet? You get an AI search engine in a blue box that provides, some rather questionable things. It seems to like our Onion articles.
Yes.
Which I personally do find hilarious, but it did tell you that you're supposed to eat 1 rock a day. That was a really old Onion story. So there is a very easy way, just by adding ampersand UDM equals 14 into the search string, and it will disappear. You can actually create on Chrome and Firefox a new search engine, essentially, that still goes to Google. It just automatically adds that to it, so you get rid of that crappy AI prompted stuff, so you can get directly to the ads and sponsored links, and then down to what it is you're actually looking for.
Isn't it nice that we've had to resort to workarounds? You already have to use third-party tools to make Windows usable. Now we have to play games with Google search because, they need that investor interest with a lot of AI glitz and glamour that's literally just an early alpha, not even beta stage at this point.
Yeah, but they're putting it out there in front of people and providing the information that it's kicking back as if it was legit. Telling people literally, rocks are good for you.
Eat one a
Serving
day.
up the Onion and Reddit posts as if they were verified facts. People are
jump
stupid.
off a bridge if you're feeling depressed. Like all the stuff that's actually coming up.
It's a Golden Gate Bridge.
Results.
You should choose for that.
Yeah,
that was one of the real things that came up.
Just tasteless, unverified nonsense. It's just finding random articles, because that's what AI really is. So how do you train one of these? You just scrape the internet and then use whatever comes up.
And then you verify that by the AI watching what I've just randomly called in my head applause monkeys, where they'd be like, yeah, that's a great idea. You should definitely do that. Jump off the bridge, or you should definitely eat rocks or drink Clorox or whatever. And AI takes that as, people have, affirmed that that's actually correct.
Yeah, CR Poll in the chat. AI has no sense of humor or of sarcasm, so it doesn't matter in what tone it is. They're just looking at the text, and it's being stored in this language model, and then it just comes up because some, word triggered it.
Mad Hatter insists that Reddit is the verified truth.
That's Where else would you go for a definitive answer on anything?
4chan.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Yeah.
I beat Kent.
Moving on.
No, you didn't.
iFixit and Samsung have broken up, unfortunately. They were offering parts for Samsung phones, just like they do with Apple ones. And Samsung wasn't being completely candid with them, I guess is what they're saying.
That's a very polite way of putting it.
Okay, so what exactly happened with Samsung? Are you saying that iFixit is Apple biased? Did Apple pressure this move?
No, this was purely Samsung. So the problem was that you were only allowed to replace or repair your Samsung phone with official Samsung provided components. These components that they provided were, to put it lightly, shit. They worked, but they were nowhere near as good as the original part that you were replacing. They also charged an exceptionally high price for them, not just based on quality, but just based on what that actual chip is, being Samsung officially qualified versus not being Samsung officially qualified. And, that sounds pretty awful and would, make iFixit a little bit upset about them. But then, after a couple of people complained, iFixit sort of went in undercover and found out that in these authorized Samsung repair shops that Samsung is licensed to repair them, if they find a non-official Samsung part in it, they are no longer allowed to work on that phone. And since they've probably torn the phone apart quite a bit to be able to get to that part, you get a box of pieces back and are told, sorry, there's a third-party part in there, and we are not allowed to fix this anymore. Nor are we allowed to reassemble it. 404 Media as was actually the one who did that.
Apple jealousy. It's Apple jealousy. That's all
they do. You get rid of the headphone port, we're going to do that. You can't get out your batteries? Well, we're going to do that. Oh, you're going to ruin everyone's experience trying to repair it? We got it.
Yeah.
So iFixit and said,
the notch. Remember those commercials with the notch hairstyle?
The notch.
They have a pinhole. They don't have a notch. So score 1 for Samsung.
So essentially, iFixit is saying, we're going to start sourcing parts that are not approved, but will work and are probably higher quality than Samsung was providing. Tools to tear them apart. And we're going to let people do it themselves, or shops that don't want to become officially Samsung repair shops. So it's not just so much that they've broken up, they've taken everything with them and are just going to somewhere else. And I don't blame them. Okay. And as I say at the very end of the article, P.S. update your Chrome again.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
nice
always.
Throw.
Yeah, update your Chrome every week. You struck this from the list in the interest of time, but we do have to mention, in an update to our very important Cooler Master AI thermal paste story last week, they're now backpedaling on this and saying it was a translation error. We were saying it wasn't AI competitive thermal paste. It's thermal paste that's good for those processors that use AI because the AI-enabled chips could generate more heat. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, they slapped AI on a product. It's a ridiculous product because it's dyed thermal paste. So instead of just being gray, it's like white and red and pink and whatever, so that streamers can have a fashionable thermal paste application. The one or two of them who are willing to show their thermal paste application. So anyway, just thought it was worth mentioning.
And aren't being ironic about it when they show their
right
thermal paste application.
I welcome conflict like that. I'll do a stream and just do a thermal paste application and just wait, just listen, because I don't think I'm right. It's just amusing to me to think that people care enough that they could get bent out of shape about the way somebody puts thermal paste on a CPU. Think about if you've ever worked on old computers, you take the processor heatsink off, if it even has one, and there's no thermal paste under there. A lot of the time, there's just nothing there. They used to slap heat sinks on like Pentium era processors with nothing
Oh.
in between.
Well,
So-
those surfaces
Oh, you're
were
forgetting
flat.
33.
They were flat, right? They were super
Yeah.
flat.
Sure.
My Pentium 133 didn't even have a heatsink. It was just the ceramic top staring at me.
You crazy
wait.
man.
Was that P1?
Maybe.
Are you sure
Yeah,
about
I
that?
think
The
some of them
486s
did.
usually didn't need one unless you were overclocking.
No, actually,
but-
it did have a very basic.
Yeah.
But there was no interface material.
Right.
It's just
yeah.
that
Yes.
ceramic.
Yeah. This
It got
You
so
can't
much
see
better
it
after
'cause
that.
it's out of focus and everything, but my beloved Dimension XPS P100C, this thing gets hot to the touch. So it has, you can't see it, but there's a fan here and it draws air from underneath and blows across the heatsink. Otherwise, the thing would overheat.
My
Both of my-
386 SX didn't have a heatsink, definitely.
No.
Oh, no.
It was
No.
Just
Yeah.
No, it just stared at you.
Yep, and the side thing's not even BGA, so
But do you remember the glory days where there was that little tiny piece of thermal pad that was sort of fuzzy? That was the only thing that connected a pre-built CPU to a
yeah,
heatsink.
the pencil eraser material.
Mhm.
Yep.
That pink
That's
Yeah, I
stuff.
always
always
been a
thought
bit
it just-
fuzzy because
I always thought it disintegrated. I thought that was the issue. but
it
That's
apparently
part of
yeah,
it.
it turned fuzzy. Like it started disintegrating and then eventually would just start bleeding out and you're like, why is there little bits of crap on my motherboard?
The very first computer that I did a CPU swap on, this is probably 95 or 96. It was some form of 486. I don't recall which, but it had just the little aluminum heatsink on it. And I had no idea that there was any kind of interface material, and there was some kind of black sticker under the heat sink touching the top of the chip. And I don't even know. I've never seen another one like it. But yeah, it tore in two when I pulled the heat sink off.
It's fine. It was probably just the warranty sticker that they used to stick on everything.
It actually says, please remove before deploying.
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Or at least
that's
it used
probably
to.
it. Or install.
Let us move to In Security Corner. Our first story comes from Bleeping Computer. Over 90 malicious Android apps with 5.5 million installs found on Google Play.
And a shocking move
Imagine.
to no one.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, so there's a report here that I think interested users should probably go check out. I think it's called the Zscaler report. Just to go check out the list of applications and see if you're running any of them. And the malicious actions run the gamut. But there's a ton of threats that you really need to be aware of. With 5.5 million active installs, there's a somewhat non-zero chance that you've got one of these. Just go preview the list and check your installs and get rid of the ones that are on there. They're retrieving personal information. They're running command and control. They're grabbing your config files. They're purloining personal information. It's all the typical bad malware stuff. And I'm sorry, you should go clean your device.
I mean, honestly, if you've got a QR reader that's not native or a PDF reader that's not
Yeah.
native, chances are you're pooped.
Yeah, most of them have this backdoor or some malicious actions embedded within, and they're stealing your personal data or cycles and helping them mine Bitcoin.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's probably
Yeah,
fine.
just distributed is the way to go with that.
Yes. This Security Week story, is this misinformation, Brett? Cybersecurity labeling for smart devices aims to help people choose items less likely to be hacked.
Hey, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth here. Although I personally did label this as fake good news.
Okay.
the
Better not be a
government-
damn
the-
Apple sticker.
The government has taken it upon themselves literally as a cyber trust initiative to begin labeling smart, quote unquote, smart devices, whether or not they have a cyber trust labeling such that The regular everyman who's shopping for things that are smart, like a refrigerator or a microwave or a baby monitor or anything that we as a collective, human race have inadvertently decided to make smart for some stupid reason or another, doorknobs, doorbells, whatever, you name it. The government has come up with a cyber trust mark initiative to say, hey, this is something that we verified as more secure. And when have we ever seen anything like this actually work? I mean, there's a lot of people call back to a story from last week, like Microsoft's Copilot snapshotting things from weeks or months in the past for future AI initiatives to call through and find some of the information that they captured like last week. And I made the, hot take comment regarding how much easier that's going to make malware to pull your data. They don't have to wait. It's there. This thing is for real. Here's the certification mark. It's from the U.S. cybersecurity labeling for smart devices. It comes in a variety of shield-like visualizations, but this is a real deal.
When your device stops getting your updates, does the shield just sort of turn?
You need to peel the sticker off. Peel the sticker off after your device stops getting updates. I think this is a fool's errand, and I think this is giving people a false sense of security, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely false, because this is going to be faked by every one of these Chinese companies on Amazon with a name that consists of mostly consonants thrown together, just like they have fake UL listings for anything electronic and all of that. Like it's just a logo, and it's going to look. They even give you the logo files. It's right here on the website. Just copy and paste, print these off,
cyber trust,
slap it on there. Oh, I'm compliant. Yep. Don't worry. There's a sticker.
My initial thought process was, let's pretend this is legit and they're really trying to do this. And just how far, and Jeremy just mentions tiny little aspect of it. Hey, what happens when they stop updating that Zixel modem from, 4 years ago? And it's still the cybersecurity trust mark on it. But it wasn't supposed to be hackable.
It's safe.
It wasn't supposed to be hackable. It's safe.
Now, is one of the colors, like these are all different colors in these certification marks, does one of them mean like it's guaranteed safe for 6 months or it's guaranteed safe for 1 year? You can trust this for 90 days.
Yeah. Imagine the certification process where they're maybe submitting a device to some laboratory. How are they possibly testing, some random device for all the ways in which it can be perhaps, maliciously taken advantage of? It's literally not possible.
I mean, the life cycle of an IoT device from a main company is not even 3 or 4 years.
Yes,
before
I find
they
this
completely bail on it.
I find this good-hearted, but of extreme waste of resources.
Yeah,
people who don't understand technology, in office, who just like, oh, this is a good initiative. I can get behind this. We need a logo and a.
That lack of understanding is now being passed on through this initiative to mom and dads, to the every man and every woman, and assuming that they're buying something that's potentially going to be, resistant to being hacked. And
this is just Y2K compliance stickers all over again.
It's not the case.
God, yes.
Except peace of mind. This is, honey, this is certified. There's a logo. We can buy this. It's trusted. I can cyber trust it.
Everything that we plug in is just a measure of risk. You're accepting a measure of risk. The only safe device is unplugged and turned off. Every time you power anything on,
it's not. Is it turned off though? Because they're usually just in deep sleep and they're still
okay. That's actually legitimate.
The only safe device is the one that you don't have anywhere near you, and also it's not connected.
Yep, Office Space had it right when a printer made a funny noise and they dragged it out to
it wasn't a look. It was
and beat it to death.
PC load letter.
Yeah, PC load letter. Yeah, that printer got what it deserved.
I took something.
Yeah. All right, we have one more story in Security Corner this week, and it is about a TP-Link router, but it's a fix. They fixed a critical RCE bug in the popular C5400X gaming router, vulnerable to security flaws that could enable an unauthenticated remote attacker to execute commands on the device. But it has been patched, right? It was a 10. This was a perfect 10.
This was a 10.
This was a bad one.
One of the things I want to point out to here is, do you remember a couple of years ago, or maybe not even that long, when everything was gaming? There was chairs, there was microphones, there was desk mats, keyboards, pencils, pens, whatever it was. It was all gaming. This microphone, gaming. Anyway, the point is that fad, and I'm going to call it that, has gone. What has it been replaced with? That's right, our new Lord and Savior, AI. Do you think it'll be here forever? Maybe, maybe not. But past is prologue. Gaming, the blockchain, short-lived. We remember it well, though.
What about the metaverse? Nobody talks about the metaverse anymore, Brett.
Right. You're right. Metaverse is cool. Okay.
The metaverse was the future of business, the future of socialization.
Yes.
It had no legs to go on.
Oh.
That's actually funnier than bam. Supposedly, this was a story about a good-hearted, a feel-good story about a TP-Link router that had a perfect 10, a CVE perfect 10 actually patched, a remote code execution bug that if you were still running this after this, hopefully you have no excuse to have this thing still turned on. But yeah, if you still have one, get it back out, blow the new firmware onto it, and have a good time with it. Apparently this was a pretty good deal, and people enjoyed this unit when it was running well.
And look, now you can update.
Yeah.
There's even a video. Maybe. I'm not sure if that's the correct video, but yeah. Update today.
Yep, it's today's update. So this is a good news story. Actually, sometimes things are fixed, and perfect 10s just no longer mean you have to be totally owned. Unless you didn't unplug it like you were supposed to, then you're probably still owned. I don't know. Should have unplugged it.
Let's move on to gaming quick hits. And our first story concerns a company called Valve. And I jokingly referred to this last week, I think. I said something about your Steam library and how it dies with you.
Yep.
Well, apparently it does die with you. You can't leave them to somebody else either. Now, you could just give people your login information. Yeah, in my will, my son is going to have my Steam login, I think.
Is that the only password you're giving them?
I'll have to give them my email password too, because then they'll have to get the Steam verification stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, think about it. I buy games for him with my Steam account. We have a joint library. And
now theoretically, if you stay logged in after you've passed, he can still use the family to share your game library.
But periodically, Valve does updates and kicks you out, and you have to log back in. And what's he going to do if he doesn't have access to my email and he can't remember my password?
Seance?
Yeah, exactly. I will appear in front of him like Ben Kenobi, shimmering as a Force ghost to tell him my Steam username and password.
I believe that you will. I believe you will.
Right? If I use a virtual, a password manager, I use Bitwarden. So I'd have to give him my Bitwarden password. It all comes down to paper and pen, I guess. Unfortunately. I
have crossed oceans of time to make sure my 400 games in my Steam library don't go to waste.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly,
they will not have a platform to play them.
Well, no. It's your Steam Deck will probably have not worked that, but we'll be making emulators of them by then. It'll be
of course. There'll be a Steam Deck emulator.
Sebastian, your son, will be collecting Steam Decks.
Well, I hope he doesn't get that collector bug from me.
Yeah,
Al Bundy, your AI clone will tell him. That's right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Kent, what were you going to say?
We've just been talking about, the death of ICQ and AIM and all those programs that were so important to us 20 years ago. Is Valve even going to be around in 20 more years? Are any of these platforms going to be around in 20 years? What's the gaming front going to look like then?
History says no, they will not be.
Either Microsoft or Disney will own it, but yeah, it'll still be there in 20 years in some form.
Disney will probably still be there.
Probably Disney and Microsoft will merge,
and
then they will truly be the kings of all media.
Dizsoft.
And then the AI that merged with Jensen will take them over and become the overlord of the Earth.
I'm not 100%
So you
convinced that Jensen
were all worried
is
about
not.
nanotechnology and gray goo. This is the way it's going to go.
I think Jensen exists inside of the. What was NVIDIA's metaverse called? They have their own virtual work environment.
Omniverse.
Oh, that's right.
How
Omniverse.
long
yeah.
did that live?
Jensen exists within the Omniverse, and when we see him on stage, it's actually like an AI android, I think.
You know, we know
That
that
explains
simply by
spatulas.
counting the number of spatulas. Thank you, Jeremy.
There was probably a
That explains
message
the
there.
spatulas.
And there were no spatulas.
Somebody says Jensen for president. Hey, you know, it's the next logical step. He's taken over the world. But actually, is the USA enough? Last time I looked at their stock, there was like $1,100.
I mean, your fab production is crap for one thing.
No, you're reliant on TSMC too much, I guess. But yeah, if he could put fabs on the ground in the USA for sure, he would get it done. All right,
Mr. C, you will own nothing. Agreed.
you need to get comfortable with the idea of just renting things and not owning them.
You don't.
Next.
You just give us money, but you don't ever actually own it.
Correct. You just keep giving us money on a subscription basis, and we will just raise your rate every 1 to 3 years. Rock,
Or
paper,
else.
shotgun. Yes. Rock, paper, shotgun is reporting Cyberpunk 2077's development has officially ended as The Witcher 4
more.
Polaris moves into production. So it's done. Cyberpunk 2077, if you've been waiting to play it, it's done. Finally.
But you need to dig out your old AMD graphics card if you're going to play Witcher 4.
Why?
Polaris?
Oh.
I don't think that's what they meant.
It isn't? Damn it.
Specifically, it's been optimized for Polaris graphics cards, which makes a lot of sense in the
Yes.
current economy. And we didn't even talk about the tariff situation, 25% tariffs on GPUs coming from mainland China, which is probably all of them, but
It's a lot of them,
We
I think.
also skipped the final blows in the Atari and television battle.
which are what?
Atari won.
After 40 years, they bought Intellivision.
Oh no.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
They
you
did.
mean the company that owns the Atari mark,
The
bought
shell
the Intellivision mark.
of both companies.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, those feuds die hard. So apparently I think the nature of the story is there weren't a lot of people left working on Cyberpunk 2077 last month.
No.
It was April. It was less than 20. And
Yeah.
they're gone now. They're
Or maybe
no
they're
longer
just
enhancing
working on the next project. Maybe they didn't.
Yeah, they
get
moved
laid
over to
off.
The Witcher 4.
Oh, see, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
they're on Witcher
It's
4.
a happy ending.
Sort
Okay,
of, but
so
those who
Which
are
will be
waiting
taking
for any
place in
additional
Night City, by the
content-
way.
Witcher,
Witcher 4 is
takes
taking place in Night City.
Although
Really?
I don't think Witcher 4 is an accurate title for it because it's not. It is in the Witcher universe and it involves a Witcher,
but it'll
but
be
it's
totally
not Geralt of Rivia. It's going to be a different,
Oh.
different character, different Witcher school.
Okay.
It's Mike from Canmore.
Yep.
You know, if
Someone
my being
with a-
present on this podcast wasn't enough evidence of me being a nerd, I'll get into the technicalities of the Witcher games.
No. They just set something up so they can bring in an actor who's a little bit more malleable.
Okay.
Reed Richards.
And our final gaming quick hit. The next Doom game is apparently called The Dark Ages and will go all Army of Darkness in a medieval world, writes this author at Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Now, Doom is, got a lot of people into PC hardware. You wanted to be able to play Doom at an acceptable frame rate. It was not easy to do that on like a 386 or even a lot of 486s, but
And the storyline went very high tech, so this is a little surprising that they kind of went back to medieval, but okay.
This is my boomstick.
Yes.
Yes.
12 gauge double barrel Remington, cobalt blue steel with a walnut stock.
Shop smart.
I thought rendering
Shop
would
smart.
actually look like those hand stitched things, look upon my field.
I know your damn words.
Necktie.
I know your damn words.
That's just pillow talk, baby.
Exactly.
All right.
Baby.
So
Let's move to picks of the week. Josh, please get us started.
So with that 25% on some cards, now apparently over the last couple of years, some manufacturers have changed where they're producing them. Going Vietnam is a popular place. They're getting back into Mexico. So, STB, remember back in the day, had their, I believe they were in Juarez. Were they in Juarez? I can't remember exactly. But they had a manufacturing facility there, and they had to close it down after 3DFX bought them, and they kind of imploded. But we all know that story. But still, Zotac is offering an overclocked white version of a 4080 Super. It retails for $1,070, and this is the overclocked edition. It's got a couple extra nice things, but they're offering $80 off, and that's a fairly significant savings. And this may be, sale ends at 3 hours. Well, maybe tomorrow will still be there. We'll have to check. But, yeah, it was a nice shell shocker. And knowing these cards, though, that they'll probably still be on sale until next week when, June 6th hits and the tariffs get reimposed. I mean, yeah, they've already paid for these cards, but that's never stopped anybody from raising prices.
No, not at all. Jeremy, your pick.
Speaking of rising prices, one of the huge drawbacks to this whole work from home thing has become the realization of companies that they can charge an obnoxious amount of money for a dock. There is no reason the dock should cost $300 or further north of that price. It's ridiculous, but that is where we are. I won't even get into the fact that the laptop won't match the monitor from the same brand of company, but so it sucks not having a dock occasionally. So how about a Club 3D acceptable solution? For 60 Canadian, it's small enough to just toss in your laptop bag and forget about it. And it will do DisplayPort, HDMI, Ethernet, a couple of USB ports. They've thrown an SD card reader just because they can. And it's USB-C, so you'll do up to, I believe it was 100 watts of power delivery off of it. So it's not brilliant. It's not going to last you forever. It's not the highest tech. But at $60, that is just really handy to have in your laptop bag when you show up somewhere and, oh yeah, sorry, we don't have any docking stations available because they cost a stupid amount of money. So hey, not a permanent solution, but very, very handy to have in your toolkit.
Excellent. Brett, your pick.
My inability to let things go is legendary. So I'm good, Ash, and you're bad, Ash. Anyway, so my pick today is both Jeremy and Josh use the actually venerable C920 webcam. I'm fairly
damn
sure.
right.
That's right. This
Thanks,
is a
bulletproof.
close cousin. This is a close cousin. The
Heretic.
Available
Heretic.
from Woot.
No. Heretic.
C930E. It has a Zeiss lens, very similar. I think perhaps the identical sensor as the 20. Different
Yes,
audio
it does.
pickups on it. So it's likely to be a little bit wider angle due to the lens, but you can do zooming and stuff with it. Very similar performance to the 920 at a extremely good refurbished price from Woot right now of only $39.99, which is a pretty good deal for a very reasonable webcam.
Yeah, right.
Oh, come on. It's a good deal. Goody little two shoes. Goody little two shoes.
It's better than
Can't
the
let it
Brio.
go. Can't let it go.
Yep.
I tried the Brio, and it's just not as good as the old 920.
There you go.
Kent, Your pick this week.
My pick this week is a router that happens to look like a Star Wars shuttle a little bit, but whatever. It's a Wi-Fi router. It's Wi-Fi 6E. It's a Netgear Nighthawk series. I actually have had really good experience with the Nighthawk series. I've got an older model right now. This is a $400 router that's on sale for $245.99. So it's a really good purchase right now, I think. The Nighthawk software is fantastic. They actually have an Android app that tells me if a new device logs on to my router, anything like that. I can control my router from anywhere, basically, as long as I've got a phone connection. And their PC interface is fantastic as well. I've been really happy with the Netgear Nighthawk, and this is a newer version at a good price.
Kent, you were using an older code, but I was about to clear you.
I already used that earlier today.
No.
It's an older code, sir, but
I
it
did
checks
check
out.
the chat.
I was about to clear
leave them to me.
Leave them to me.
I have a pick this week. It's just because I have all these games behind me. I decided to pick one of them because we were talking about how you have to sort of rent everything digitally. Steam will let you take it with you. Who knows what GOG's policy is about, deceased library owners. But every year or two, I get the overwhelming urge to replay Warcraft 2. And, I have it. I physically own this game. And I can find some PC that runs either like Windows 98 or even Windows XP. I think I could probably get this running. This is the DOS version of it, but you get this, or is this the Windows version? I don't know. This is Windows 95, Windows 3.1, and MS-DOS. My point is, if I have one, physical media. They can't take it away from you unless they come into your house and steal it. But unfortunately,
that CD still works.
Of course, actually, I don't know if it does
on the top of it
because I haven't tested it.
Remember the old acid etching issue?
Look, I have enough copies of Warcraft 2.
It was too thin.
This is just for show. This is the box. The box is in really nice shape. I have loose copies of it. This is one of those things where I could always find it at a Goodwill. I have like 3 unboxed copies of it, but it's on GOG now too. It's a lot easier to get it up and running that way, and has built-in modern support for widescreen monitors and integer scaling and all that kind of stuff. But I will probably play it again by this fall. I won't be able to resist anymore. And that's it. That's our show for this week. Thank you for tuning in, watching us live. If you are watching live, listening to the podcast, watching the YouTube video, leaving us a comment, hitting that like bell, and smashing the subscribe icon, and all those other things that drive engagement and make you love us even more.
All the more.
Almost as much as we love you.
Almost.
There'll be a gap still, though. It's like Gap.
Yeah, but you can get Gap insurance. So
You can.
And we offer, it's one of the many services we offer. DC Perspective, official affection Gap insurance.
Yep. We're taking that up at Patreon. That is where you can.
Yeah, sure. That's basically what Patreon is. It's like bridging the gap between, your affection for us and our affection for you in a monetary way.
And make sure you pay through PayPal so that they can track you and send more ads for.
It's like, oh, you like old man humor? We see.
Exactly.
Here's a book of dad jokes.
I do.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm a fan of old
Essentially,
man humor.
virtually reach out and smack your creators with a dollar bill.